Hi everyone, how you all doing? Did anybody catch the Trump Joe Rogan interview? It lasted 3 hours. 3 hours, that interview. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Trump haters have since taken the whole interview out of context, which is what I would expect a Trump hater to do. I think it's best to look at that interview as a neutral because if you look at the whole 3 hours in context, you will come to the conclusion that Joe Rogan was laughing along with Trump when Trump was making very amusing one-liners and coming out with different stories. Joe was laughing along with him, and he wasn't laughing at him. He wasn't ridiculing Trump, and he wasn't using any disparaging talk in the interview to put Trump down. In other words, it was right down the middle in fairness, that interview. And the conclusion that you will come to, if you're a neutral, is that Trump made quite a lot of sense in some of the things that he said. And he was clear about the fact that they have come after him. That is without even in doubt anymore. How they've come after him, how they're trying to take him down, malign him. We know he's not perfect, but the alternative is much worse. That you put somebody in the most powerful job in the world who is just totally unqualified to be there. Someone who can't even answer direct questions. Someone that has to harp on about her middle class background. Someone who pretends to be working class, working in McDonald's when they've not even heard of any such thing of her working there. But with Trump, what you see is what you get. A bit rough around the edges, but he doesn't try and pretend to be something he's not. That's who he is. So I think the haters out there won't like this because they were looking for an angle off the Joe Rogan interview where they could say, look, see, he is like Hitler. See, he is going to be a fascist. And yet there's no evidence that in his 4 years that when he was president, that he ever behaved like that. So I think in the spirit of fairness, you will come to the conclusion that he's probably the best bet out there for America. And that the only way that Kamala Harris can win would be through skullduggery means. They would have to falsify the election. They would have to take illegal votes in to win because all the polls now, and even some of the main newspapers and some TV network stations, are now angling towards Trump. And that's a very bad sign for the Democrats. But they will be in denial and they'll keep fighting, believing that they can win. But as I said, they'll only win if they use skullduggery means. Well, they've done it before. Who's to say they won't do it again? Watch the 3 hour interview. Yes, it's 3 hours of your time, and you'll say, oh, I can't sacrifice 3 hours, but you can't comment on Trump in relation to that interview if you haven't watched it in context. That's all I'm saying. Watch it in context because you will clearly see that Joe Rogan is in that's the word. He was in admiration of Trump. He admired Trump for what he's had to put up with, for the constant bombardment and false accusations, the Russia collusion, everything that he's been battered with that has been a lie from the Dems. Joe Rogan was able to see it and even bring it out. Now, why would he bring something out like that if he was there to find an angle to put Trump down? Because I think in his own way, Joe Rogan is trying to be as fair as possible. He's offered the same invitation, of course, to Kamala Harris. Whether she'll accept it or not remains to be seen. But if he asks her some questions like that, like the questions that he asked Trump, will she be able to give honest answers? Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll bury herself if she hasn't already. But as a neutral, and as a non-American, and as someone who has always been fascinated with American politics, it's gearing up to be a spectacular event. And that's why I've taken the whole week off, because you never know what's going to happen in an election. Somebody might not take it too well who loses, and it might spill out into our country. There may be people that won't accept that the Democrats are going to lose this time. They might not accept they're going to lose, or they may even win. And hopefully, if it's a fair election and they do win, then people will just accept it and then drop out of politics and never return to it. That would be the hope. But certainly the pollsters that I've been looking at, and I believe them to be fair, are really saying that she's burying herself. Every day that she opens her mouth, she is causing more and more people to want to vote for Trump, like the black American men. They don't trust her. It's a bad sign for her. Can she recover? Well, depends. Depends on if something world-shattering occurs. Maybe that would be the only way that she could win. But what an interview. Yeah, the Joe Rogan interview. They talked about UFC. They talked about UFOs. Absolutely every subject was discussed. And it was fascinating. I had to watch it in shifts. I had to watch like an hour, then have a brew, have something to eat, and then come back and then watch another hour, because it's 3 hours. It's a long time just to sit there and listen to an interview. But I'm glad I did, because at least I can now comment on it as a neutral. But I've since seen on YouTube a lot of Trump hatred, and a lot of people also calling Rogan. Well, you can't have it both ways. He's either the best YouTuber out there and the fairest YouTuber, or he's not. But just because he clearly was in admiration for Donald Trump during that interview, would that be reason for you to unsubscribe to him? Some will. Some will unsubscribe to him because that's what they're like. They have so much heated hatred for Trump that they'll have anybody else in but him, even if that other person is grossly incompetent and can't answer a single question. They would still have that person in. And that says more about the kind of people they are than anything else. See ya.